to Jebuland, a brand new theme park project set somewhere in Western Europe. The exact location? Classified. Think of it like the Area 51 of roller coasters, minus the aliens. Our inspiration comes from the charmingly quirky side of European parks. Places like Nigloland, Jardin d'Acclimatation and Volcania. Sprinkle in a dash of Wallaby and you've got the vibe. Small, scrappy and just a little chaotic. Now, let's talk money. Or rather, the lack of it. Jebuland is proudly ultra-low budget. Every decision boils down to one simple mantra. Will this pay itself back? If the answer's no, then it's a big fat forget it. That means rides stick around until they're either unprofitable or literally fall apart. But don't worry, it's not all cheap and cheerful. We're still putting love into theming. Just not too much love. Think thrifted props, a forest's worth of greenery to cover empty spots, and decorations that look like we raided a garage sale. Charming, right? And of course, we'll be upselling at every turn. Priority passes for every ride. Souvenir shops on every corner. Overpriced snacks. And on-ride photos you didn't ask for, but definitely want. Now, let's talk about the lay of the land. Plot A is where the magic happens. The rides, the paths, the backstage chaos. All of it. Plot B, that's our parking lot. And for overflow, we've struck a very official deal with Josie Ozy, the local ice cream truck across the street. Don't laugh, it's legit. The entire park speaks only one language, Planco. That's right, no English, no exceptions. Every sign, every ride name, every little scrap of text is in Planco. So prepare yourself for announcements and signs that make sense. Just barely. The only loophole? Sponsored brands. Gelato Bros, Cosmic Cow and their corporate buddies get to keep their English names. Because apparently, sponsorship money also buys immunity from our linguistic chaos. As for the series itself, episodes will arrive whenever they're ready. Each one will mix time-lapse, real-time building and some lore sprinkled in. So buckle up. This is Jebuland, a budget park with big dreams, cheap thrills, and quite possibly the only park in the world where your overflow parking pass comes with a scoop of vanilla.
So yeah, that's about it. Welcome to Jebuland. This is going to be my little passion project for the coming, I don't know how long of a time. I was inspired by Aston Wolf's latest episode of Wilderness Springs, where he mentioned that the park is never going to be really done. It's just this forever ongoing project of in Planet Coaster 2, which he can just use to do stuff and experiment with stuff, and I really like that idea, so I wanted to start one of those projects myself. Now, don't worry for those of you that are watching the Polar Park series, that's not going anywhere, but I mentioned in its last episode that I did feel slightly burnt out with Polar Park, and I think this is a way to kind of remedy that and give me another outlet to use in this game, where I can maybe try some stuff that wouldn't really fit in Polar Park or that I don't want Polar Park for. This is just something else to use or to do in the meantime. Now, as for this park, it's going to be budget, and I know I said that when I started Polar Park as well, but that kind of spiraled out into more of a, I'd say sometimes Disney level or Efteling level of theming, which is clearly not budget. With this park, I am going to set some rules for myself, most of which were already mentioned in the intro. It's the stuff that everything should be influenced by the fact that if it's cheap, we're going to do it. If it costs money, we're not going to do it. That comes down to the rides themselves. The cheapest possible rides are going to go in here, as well as the theming. It's not going to be custom props and huge buildings. It's going to be, stuff we found at the local thrift store that we bolted onto the wall and called it a day. Kind of stuff like that, to kind of keep it more realistic, more small scale. And also to give it this, I think, unique vibe of a park that not a lot of other parks have. Now I'm going to take you through the land we have for the park right here in a minute. This map was made by Shift-Z. It's this beautiful starter map which already has a bunch of European layouts and small pieces of scenery. And I just added this construction stuff for now because it's a construction site. We just got the plots. Of course there's going to be a lot of stuff in here. Now, taking a quick tour, we're currently on what's going to be the main plot for the park. This is plot A, and it has, well, most of the room, or all of the room, for all the rides, for all the pathing, all the different areas, as well as the backstage areas. Now, it's not giant. I'll fly up here and show you. It is, however, big enough for what I would call a small-scale European park. There is one other plot adjacent to this that is going to be the new parking lot for this park, with overflow parking, as we said, at the local ice cream parlor. This plot of land is basically all we're going to use. Now, there is a possibility that later on in the series we might purchase, so to say, other places of land surrounding this one, but for now this is all we got and all we can afford. We're lucky to have gotten it. I mean, with the current land crisis, housing crisis, I think getting a plot of land at all is a pretty good feat here in Europe. Now, here coming across the street, we can see what's going to be the parking lot. Right now it's still a farmer's area, but this is going to be the main parking lot. Again, probably a little too small to be realistic for now, but we can expand this if we need to. And it also has the nice crossroads running through it, connecting both the park and the parking lots to each other. There's going to be some crossings over here to lead people into the park. The entrance is going to be on this side as well, so there's going to be a kind of entrance plaza right here before the giant entrance building, or not so giant entrance building actually, which means there's going to be some good old traffic chaos here probably as well, but luckily this isn't City Skylines, so we don't have to deal with the logistics of that necessarily. Now, flying up a bit, I can get you a bit more of a zoomed out look. Right here across the street is the ice cream parlor we were talking about, Jozo's, or Jose's Ozy, or Josie Ozy, I don't know. Brings me to something else, that the fact is that this entire area is going to be or this entire park is going to be using the Planko language. I was actually confused when I learned that the Planko language that's used in the game for the ride announcements in the previous game, for example, or even the Zeletpado text that's standard on any sign that you place, that language is actually a functioning complete language, or at least close to complete. So I thought it would be cool to keep this, to try and keep this even more ambiguously European, to use this, well, I want to say made up, it feels kind of disrespectful, but it is a made up language. It's genuinely a completely functional language, that is Planko, and use that everywhere. Now, I've already done it on the coming soon signs here for Jebuland. Kaemler Venchu, I'd say that's pronounced. Jebuland se dat Tadompurk Adan Lerlis Yare. I want to say I'm sorry to anyone who speaks the language, but that's not a lot of people, is it? It is translated using an online translator, so there might be some Google Translate-esque errors in here. But what I think it says is coming soon, Funland, actually, amusement park opening this year. And that's the goal for now, to have an open park realistically this year. And then I mean this calendar year, so before Christmas this year, 2025. Now, for now, the signs are all placed across plot A. I'm sorry, I can't get my words right. which you can see is surrounded by a bunch of roads. These are going to be the main access roads to the parking lot as well. This map by Shift-C is just amazing. If you are looking to get a bit of a different start than just a giant empty plot, then you can download it on the workshop down below. It has a bunch of roads running through, well, I think it's meant to be French, but just certainly European kind of plot of land. And it gives you a nice different kind of start to your park than the giant empty plots of land we get from the game itself. It is surrounded by farming area as well, meaning that we can't do everything. We can't have like a steam locomotive running through the park, and if we do, then realistically it'd have to be like either electrified, or maybe we struck a deal of some sort with like the local climate council. But yeah, we're gonna try and do a bit more lore accurate stuff like that, keeping in mind the fact that, well, there's rules to a theme park, and in real life you'd have to abide by those rules as well. So in Jebuland we're gonna try that as well. Now, that little board of directors meeting you just sat through is not for nothing. It is to introduce you to the fact that most of the decisions in this park are going to be fueled by you guys. I am going to put polls on every video with a few of the options, and you guys as a board of directors have until I record the next episode to decide which of the options is going to be genuinely put in the park. For example, later on in this video there's going to be a poll about what the entrance should be themed after. You can vote using the icon in the top right, and you can make your voice heard that way. And then the option with the most votes is going to get put in the park. So please, if you are watching this video and if you are wanting to watch this series, please make your voice heard. I really like the board of directors, you guys, to have an input on this, so we can together make this into a really cool, nice, profitable European park. So yeah, that's about it for what I'd have to say right now about the park. I am going to start doing some work. Again, later on, I want your opinion on something, so I'm going to need your input. So stick around, and I'll see you after I've gotten some work done. So I've been working on the entrance plaza in the parking lot for a bit, and I'm going to show you in a bit, but I just wanted to quickly come on and mention that for some reason I have lost my ability to make circles in this game. I wanted to do this, which is just a basic curved set of concrete blocks, just to kind of make this edge a bit neater, and then from there on we're gonna... I'm stuck in a tree. From there on we're gonna continue. Now, the way I used to do this, and I think if there are still people watching these videos that watched Evershore Harbor, my first series in Planet Coaster 1, you might have noticed that during my building I often used a technique to make circles, which involved using this very particular pillar piece. I think it was from the Western theme in the original game. I can't really remember. Let me check, because I've looked. It's not in this game, or at least not as a grid piece, I think. But the beauty of it was the fact that it was a grid piece, meaning that you had a piece that was on the center of the grid instead of the edge of it. And I'm looking for one, but I don't think there is such a piece in the game anymore. But it was basically a pillar, not unlike this one, which would just be in the middle of the grid. And I used to place it down and use that as like the center point and base everything around it, and then make circles or spires or at least rotational symmetry in some way for my builds, but I've completely lost the ability to do that. And I was looking, because I know there are these, like, I've seen a couple people use the rotational platforms for this, so you have like automatic rotational symmetry, but I don't like that, purely for the fact that I like to have the ability to edit all the pieces separately afterwards. If I want one side to look slightly different than the other one, I don't want to have to remove that piece from rotational symmetry, screw up the entire building, have to replace it, stuff like that. I just want to be able to have like separate pieces for everything. But that little pillar piece is gone, and for some reason, apparently that was the entire backbone of my building ability when it comes to circles. But because and I've noticed this before, of course, since the start of the game, but just now I was confronted with the fact that it was really real. It's just not. It's gone, and I can't handle it. Now, quickly showing you the progress I've made up until now. I've copied some of these cars. Now, these were already in the map, and I'm gonna check if I can find if Shifty made these themselves or if they're from some other creator. But if I find it out, I'll put a link on screen now, because they are really cool. They do use a lot of pieces, so I'm kind of scared to fill the entire parking lot with them. I'm only now realizing that they're also all sunk into the ground, but okay. Yeah, I don't really dare make the entire parking lot with this, because then, like, just this car alone has like 150 pieces almost. So imagine having an entire parking lot filled and then you still need to do the park as well. So we're not going to do that. What I have done is I have added the parking signs, again, all in Planko. Planko doesn't have a word for bus, but seeing as pretty much, well, I don't want to say all languages, a lot of languages use bus, and it's sort of European, I've decided that that's kind of a sort of Planko word in this sense. And this means staff and deliveries. By the way, Vru, which I think was really cool, or is really cool, means car in Planko. So yeah, you have P1 for car parking, you have P2 for bus and coach parking, and P3 for staff and deliveries. Now continuing on here, you can see that P1 is immediately to the right, which leads to this big parking lot. I decided not to use tarmac or anything in here. Because what you'll see with a lot of these more budget-oriented parks here in the Netherlands and in the rest of Europe is that most of the parking lots are just gravel, or even like this, like soil, just kind of sketched out to be a parking lot, but never using tarmac or anything like that. So I wanted to do that here as well. Now I imagine that this is during the entrance part of the day. I've made these little traffic cones too. Which aren't great, by the way, but they get the job done. I've made these traffic cones because realistically this will probably be like a sort of modular parking lot, in the sense that during the day, or at least during the first, say, 4 hours of opening time, it would be in a sort of entry mode where most of the cars would filter into the parking lot and not a lot of them would be leaving, so this exit side would be pretty much unused. And towards the end of the day, they would probably move these cones over here, or like this, so that they could more easily filter out all the cars leaving. And because nobody is coming in anymore, that's just not important anymore. So right now I have it in this sort of entry position. Parking for this park is free, which goes slightly against the we want to upsell everything thing. And I might still change it, but there was also a part of me that thought like installing a whole fence and security barrier would probably be too expensive for this park. So to keep it sort of realistic, I've kept it free for now, also because of the size of the park. But I might add like a sort of more permanent kind of barrier here with like an entrance gate, which you do have to pay to get through, because yeah, again, this park would be upselling everything they got. But that's it for now. And like I said, I've also started work on this. I want to keep this entrance plaza kind of small. I also want to make sure that it's as scrappy as can be. I imagine that they wouldn't pave this road here because it's just a small country road. So what would probably be realistically here is a bunch of I do not know what they're called in English. The people who stand near crosswalks and tell people when to go and when to stop. There'd probably be like a few of them here to make sure that people can cross safely from the parking lot to the entrance path. Same with this area, also to direct you towards parking. And same with the fact that, as you can see by the signs, buses need to go straight ahead. So once there's a bus here, they probably have to be either directed temporarily to the left side of the road, and there'd be someone here stopping the oncoming traffic, if there is any, because this is a pretty, well, it's not that busy of a road. Or they'd have to temporarily move these cones and let them through. So yeah, there would be, realistically, would be people here. Now, also in the sense of being a cheap little park, also what I said just now, I did add a security gate here for the staff parking, but okay. Coaches are just here plonked on the side of the road. I imagine they just have a sort of parking permit, or at least it is allowed to park here, and they're just like, well, we're not gonna put down or buy another plot of land for the coaches, we're just gonna let them park here. So I've added a few of these guest spawners as well as just an empty coach on the side of the road here. Now I'm still kind of debating the shape of the entrance building. As you can see, I've started another sketch right now, but I'll quickly jump into some other designs I've made up until now, or at least like outlines I've made for an idea of the entrance building. This first option I've been sketching out I called a retro halo, just because I wanted to have a title card. I think this was more inspired by the 50s style of building, where they'd have these kind of bordered off circular ceilings and elements on the building. I really like the idea of this, but I'm doubting whether or not it would fit the kind of scrappy nature of the park. This might be too extravagant for them, or too expensive to have built. Now the second option is this more asymmetrical design with the tower slightly to the right. I believe this is a bit more reachable for this park. Keep in mind as well that the arches you're seeing right here wouldn't be there in the end product. That's just to keep it more open to see what the shape of the building would be like. This tower could be the real centerpiece of the entrance, and it wouldn't even be that expensive. I think we could keep it quite small and well, short. And now this last option, well, second to last option, is kind of a European classic. It has these two little towers on the side with a main one on the middle. I asked ChatGPT for some inspiration and told it to generate a picture of a small-scale European theme park entrance, and this is genuinely what it came up with. It would be these arches to the side, a few towers in the middle and the side as well. Pretty, I'd say, Bavarian in its classic, or in its architecture. Just a lot of vintage elements. While yes, it is undeniably European, I also feel like it is used a lot, so I'm a bit doubtful on this one. So yeah, and then again, I've also been working on this, which right now I feel is a bit too American, but I might be able to Europeify this as well. So I'll just wait for you guys to give me your opinion on that before I continue working on this. I think my own preference goes towards more of this design with just the roof sticking out, and then probably there'd be like just regular buildings across the side here, or at least something like that, where it's more of this kind of low profile, almost, I want to say Western kind of area, or at least kind of forest cabin-ish kind of styling. But it's up to you for this one, because I can't really decide, and I don't really know what I want. But yeah, then this would probably be, I don't know what happened there, by the way. This would probably be more of the layout with like a few ticket kiosks here, or guest services here, and just a main entrance through the middle with turnstile gates for those of you that already have tickets or are still or just bought them from this side. I imagine there'd be some sort of a food truck or temporary stand on the side here, maybe one of those we call them oliebollenkraam, like those portable bakeries, or pâtissier. My French is awful, I'm sorry. Like that sell pastries and stuff like that. It would probably be seasonal and be another company just renting out the place, having a contract for them. Maybe on the right here there's a little meet and greet stand or something like that. And other than that, it's just going to be forest and greenery to kind of cover the sightlines, with some sort of a flag in the middle here. Again, this is absolutely not the design I'm going for, but just to give you an idea of what I mean. Why is it not? Okay. There, something like that, with just to have at least some sort of a, well, not even a weenie, but just some verticality to the entire building. But again, it's also important to remind ourselves that this is ultra low budget. So if they would have verticality, it also mean like extra costs to maintain it, because people will have to climb the roofs and stuff like that. So I'm trying to make those decisions more consciously. So that's it for now. I think I'm gonna leave this first video here. I think you get a nice idea of what I'm planning to do with this park. Leave me your feedback in the poll on the top right. I'm gonna check if I can still do it on YouTube, otherwise I'll have another embedded link in there where you can vote. I'm gonna keep an eye on those votes until I start working again for the entrance building, because if you guys have a strong favorite, I'm gonna go with that one. If not, then I'm gonna have to cut or I'm gonna have to decide between the most favorite ones. So let me know your voice over there, and then I hope to see you again next time, where I'll probably do some time-lapse stuff for stuff that I am going to be working on off camera, but the entrance plaza is all yours. So leave me your thoughts on this, leave me your thoughts on the entrance building, and I will see you again in the next episode of Jebuland, which will come out, like the intro said, whenever it's ready. So not going to say next week, not going to say in 2 weeks. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.